Hi guys, Neil at Italia Autos here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Behind me we have the only surviving UK Alfa Arna, so I'm going to do a little video on it for you. The Alfa Romeo Arna, which is an acronym for Alfa Romeo Nissan Autovocoli. The hatchback was produced by Alfa Romeo and Nissan partnership between 1983 and 1987. The Arna launched at the 1983 Frankfurt Motor Show. For the joint venture, the body panels of the car were constructed in Japan by Nissan, then shipped to Italy for final assembly. The Arna was largely based on the N12 series Nissan Cherry, but featured Alfa Romeo's engines carried over from the Alfa Sud, as well as an Alfa transmission, steering, front brakes and front suspension. It did, however, use independent rear suspension and rear brakes from Nissan. The Arna also briefly marketed as a Nissan Cherry Europe in the United Kingdom and Spain. Upon the Arna's release, it became obvious that the Arna exhibited the worst qualities of each of its parents. The Arna featured tempestuous mechanicals, rust-prone bodywork, and indifferent build quality courtesy of Alfa Romeo. Married to a Nissan body of questionable build and frumpy box-like styling, insipid handling common of Japanese cars of the time. By 1996, Alfa Romeo was up for sale, with Fiat timely emerging as the new owner of Alfa. Fiat's first decision was to cease the Arna production owing to its poor reputation and poor sales, and terminate the unsuccessful Alfa Romeo-Nissan alliance. Production ceased in 1987, with Fiat intending to strengthen the competitiveness of Alfa Romeo with the Alfa Romeo 33. So it seems that the Arna has gone down in history as one of the worst cars ever produced, mainly down to Nissan's old design, poor quality bodywork, lack of rust protection, and their rear suspension and poor handling, but also from Alfa Romeo's poor build quality from the factory. Now let's go and take a test drive in the elusive Arna. So let's take it on a drive now. I've now found out that you turn the ignition key the other way because it's on the left hand side of the barrel, so that's totally freaked me out that you've got to do that. But this is the first one I've driven, so please forgive me for not knowing what I'm doing.
Bear with.
Oh, do you need the... Do you know what? I've never driven anything this old since I had my Alfetta ages ago, and there's only a button for the wipers.
Twist that stalk.
There we go. There we go. See where we're going now.
It's all a bit different.
It's very old, I'll put it that way, and I'm going into fourth gear, not second.
Don't like that.
It's proper old-fashioned in the start of the drive. It feels like you'd imagine it would do.
It's still.
I'll do fourth again.
Arna that's Sud.
Yep.
Running gear essentially, so that's dates from the 70s really.
So this is Ian, he's the guy who has lovingly restored it and is allowing me to take it for a quick spin. And what a treat it is to finally get to drive the elusive Arna. So I was under the impression there was none left, so how did you manage to find this one, Ian?
It's through a friend of mine in the Alfa Romeo Arna, Dave Roberts, has got a fascination with these cars. He bought a Cherry Europe, which is essentially the same car built by Alfa in Italy, but with the Nissan badges on it.
Yeah.
Dave's Cherry is the only known UK registered 1.2 base 3-door.
Yeah.
This is the only 1.2 SL 5-door, which was owned by another fellow 920 series owner, Eddie Rattley. He got this to preserve it some years back, but not gotten around to restoring it. Eddie owns a Cherry Europe GTI, which is the, although it's not injection as the name might imply, it's the this Nissan badged version of the Arna TI. It's the 3-door shell with the 1.5 twin carb boxer engine in it.
Yeah.
That's quite a lively little motor.
Yeah.
And it's in very safe hands with Eddie, who's bought it as a restored car, but kept it all as per the Nissan badging.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very few of these cars left.
Very few indeed. You've done a wonderful job of restoring it. How much did you have to do? How far did you have to go back?
Mostly bodily. It ran and drove. It just hadn't been on the road for about 15 years. So mechanically, it's just been gone through and refreshed. New belts and seals and gaskets and whatnot where necessary.
Yeah.
Front brake pads, flexi hoses, bits and bobs like that. Bodily, again, not a lot. The all down the right side of the car, it had a previous sort of light impact to it, a sort of gentle side swipe. So it had already had a wing and door, and the rear door had got a lot of filler repair in it. So through the Nissan community, I managed to find a new on stock door.
That's really good. You managed to do that.
It is. Replaced that. So. And the left front door skin and wing were replaced again with new old stock parts.
What was the hardest part you either couldn't find or the hardest part to find?
There was most of it went really well. The only thing I really struggled with was what's called a scraper moulding, the bit along the bottom of the door glass. Eddie had sourced 2 for the driver's side, the right side, but the 2 on the passenger side were really breaking up, blistering, crispy. So tried through various channels, couldn't find any. I was finally sort of quite lucky in that there's a parts specialist in Italy called Alfa that I got in touch with them. They didn't list them on their website, if I remember correctly, but once I contacted them, they confirmed stock and arranged shipping. So that was probably the more long-winded part to find, but we got there eventually. So
it's done well. This was what, 1983, 84?
84 it was built, yeah.
So it had pretty much done 21 years before it went off road.
Yeah.
And considering the bad reputation that Arnas have got.
And here it is, the Alfa Romeo Arna. Now, it might have worked if they'd married Japanese build quality to Italian design flair, but they did it the other way around. So what we ended up with was a terribly ugly Nissan Cherry that had Alfa Sud electrics. Can you imagine anything worse?
It did well.
Yeah, it has.
Maybe the only surviving one in the UK, but it's done well.
Yeah, it was sort of in such a condition that it was worth saving as well. It wasn't such a massive task to restore it. It was pretty much 5 months end to end from stripping it out. Done what little bit of sort of repairs to the body. Yeah. Replaced a few panels that needed doing, and then it was ready for paint and reassembly. So yeah, it went really well. Quite pleased in the whole job as such.
So comparing it to the old cars I've driven, well, I've driven a Golf 1.1 Mark 1. Spent a lot of time in that when I was a bit younger, and I've also spent a lot of time in an Alfetta GTV when I had that one, which I never ended up restoring. Does it drive like an Alfa? I don't think it does. Does it drive anything like the Alfetta? I don't think it does. I would probably definitely put this more in that it drives more like a Nissan or a Datsun than anything I know I've driven, sorry. But it's not a bad drive. If you're used to driving old cars, as you are, 'cause you've got some much older cars, haven't you, in your collection?
It's not to be rushed, bearing in mind it's only 1.2, 63 brake motor in it, but it's driven sensibly. It's quite pleasant if you like.
And I was surprised it's got 5 gears.
It has.
90% of cars of this size back then only had 4.
The pedals seem a bit oddly of space, but I think again that's an Alfa Sud.
Yeah, there's nowhere to put your left foot. But
Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with the Sud, but everything sort of mechanically from the steering column through to the front is directly sort of taken from the Sud mechanically. So it will have that sort of character to it, albeit in Nissan surroundings. So I think the driving feel on the road is subtly different to the Sud.
Yeah.
Because they're a beam axle on the rear, whereas this has got the independent rear suspension of the Nissan.
You can't really feel much in the steering. I mean,
no, it's
the power of the engine is fine for ground town driving. I haven't struggled to get up to 30-35 miles an hour. But yeah, the steering, there's not much feel in that at all.
No, it's quite vague low down. It weights up a bit.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more interactive, should we say, at speed, sort of twisty roads and so on.
Don't worry, I won't be doing no speed around here today.
Not in the wet.
But yeah, it's a pleasure to drive it. It's something I never ever thought I'd get the chance to drive.
Well, catch it while you can.
Yeah. This is actually for sale, so I'm sure Ian will be checking in the video comments if somebody is interested in it. I do believe the current price is...
well, between £8,000 and £10,000. It's difficult to put an actual figure on it, but I think I might just sort of plump for somewhere in the middle and see what comes up.
For a fully restored car, which is one of one left in the UK, I think that's actually quite a bargain at that price. I mean, the amount of hours you're going to put into it, you're going to probably have 1,000 hours into it, probably.
Yeah, probably not far off the truth when you start thinking about it.
Yeah. So you know, as a profit car that somebody's restored, this isn't a profit car. This is somebody with a love who's trying to preserve a little bit of Alfa history.
Yeah. And whoever does buy it, I'd like to think that it'll be well cared for, but on the other hand, still used. Get it out there and drive it. It's amazing the response that it's got.
It's definitely one that you'll want to keep in the garage in the winter.
Yeah. It needs that bit of care just to preserve it in the condition it's in now. But on the other hand, get it out and enjoy it when it is a sunny day's car.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Let people see it. It's amazing how many people didn't even know what it was. Just going to Alfa or Italian car
I imagine
events.
you go to a classic car show and people are going to go, "It's a Nissan? No, it's an Alfa. What's that?" Yeah, the stories are going to be.
Alfa badges on, not necessarily, because it was built in Italy. It's got a ZAR chassis number. It's got Alfa Romeo chassis plate attached to it. It's an Alfa.
It is.
Some people might not like that idea, but
Very loosely put though.
Yeah.
Oh, wipers have given up.
Sticky wiper, sticky switch.
There we go. It's fine.
There we go. Lack of use.
Yeah. It's got no power steering, by the way, as well. Just found that out, and now I'm in fourth gear again.
It's a bit heavy. For a small car, it's quite weighty steering.
It's all right. I haven't driven anything without power steering in 4 or 5 years, so my arms have probably got a little bit weak.
Softening up a bit.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for letting me drive this.
No problem.
We'll go and park it up now and film a little bit more.